the first two candies that have been demonstrated are a little harder to make, but they're worth the taste to take a little extra time. But we thought we would demonstrate a third candy that is quick to make, even if you had a very busy season and you want to have a treat for Valentine's Day that's homemade. So I'm going to start by melting. These are melting wafers. You can use white chocolate or white chips. It doesn't matter. And you can microwave them to melt them. And I'll talk about why I don't do that in a minute. Let me show you a quick, sure way to melt chocolate. White or milk or semi-sweet. I'm making a double boiler out of this pan. And I'm going to turn my induction stove onto a quick boil. You'll be able to see how quickly this works when the steam starts coming out of the pan. And then I'm going to put a Pyrex bowl on top of it and use it as a double boiler to melt this chocolate.
Wow, I've never had a double boiler and always done the microwave because I
didn't have a double boiler.
Yes, that's awesome.
So it's a quick way. Now, while this is heating up, I'll just explain that someone who has patience and pays attention to what they're doing can successfully use a microwave, right, Bonnie?
Yes.
45 seconds stirring it and redoing it on high until it's done. I've burned a lot of chocolate that way, which is why I'm doing a little bit more. Okay, you can see boiling, coming up. That's how rapidly, and I'll turn that way down to about 5, that's medium, to melt this chocolate.
Do you have to worry about the glass breaking?
No, it's a Pyrex bowl. Be sure and get a heat-proof bowl out. And I don't really measure how much, I just do about how much I want to end up with.
How much water do you put in the pan?
It doesn't matter, have at least 1.5 inches. You don't want it to be touching the bowl, but enough so that that heat is coming up in the form of steam and it'll perfectly melt the chocolate. It's really foolproof as long as you don't run out of water. And so while we are waiting for this chocolate to melt, this white chocolate to melt, I will describe the other, this is a 2-ingredient wonder. The other ingredient is pecans, and these have already been toasted in the oven. You can use them whole, or you can chop them up, or you can buy them in pieces. Just get pecans and toast them. I like to put them in a 325-degree oven, which is a little bit lower than normal, and leave them in from 8 to 10 minutes. You can put them in a pipe tin from 1 to 4 cups. You notice I'm not measuring in this. I just want to make this. When the chocolate's melted, I'll put the toasted nuts in, and then I'm going to use this scooper to put the portions onto a cookie sheet, and then you let them set. So say you've decided at the last minute you want to have a treat for your family on Valentine's Day. You can put this together in just a couple of minutes in the morning, let it sit all day, and then you've got a treat. I had thought of this out of sheer time management issues one Christmas, and our brother Randy mentioned years later, remember those white chocolate pecan things you make? And I was almost embarrassed to say, yeah, because it's so easy. But don't discount the amount of flavor that will come from your efforts. So they're starting to melt a little bit, and this may take a little patience, but you can do other things while you're waiting for this. It's going a little slow, so I'll bump it up to 6.
So do you not have to worry about stirring it because it's in a double boiler?
Because it's in a double boiler, it won't burn. It could scorch, I guess, if you ran out of water and left it for 2 hours. But I think maybe I'll just keep it down at 5. It's spitting now that it's at 6. So as this starts to heat up, it'll go rapidly to liquid.
Yeah, you see it getting sticky now.
Yeah. Remember that this is a low maintenance recipe. You haven't had to measure, you haven't had to decide how many nuts or how much chocolate, you're just going to toast it or melt it and put it together. It's taken about 10 minutes to melt in our double boiler, but I didn't attend to it the way the fudge or the caramels take. You can run around and do other things while you're waiting for this to melt. So now it's melted, and you stir in, I just guess how many nuts is going to make a nice drop. You want it to have enough chocolate that it will drop off the spoon or the scoop. I'm going to try using the cookie scoop today. And when it looks about right, then stop adding nuts. It doesn't have to be exact, but you do want the chocolate to completely cover the nuts. So I'm looking for the nuts to disappear after I stirred it in. And then there you have it. Now, if you have leftover chocolate, let it cool and you can reuse it another time. If you have leftover nuts, well, those are delicious with ice cream.
With anything.
Or granola. Any nut that's toasted is a perfect nut to me. I'm going to try using a scoop because the portions may look a little prettier, but what I've normally used in the past is 2 spoons.
Now, how did you prepare the pan? What is this?
This is a Silpat mat. They're getting very low in cost now, just so that the candies will quickly come off the cookie sheet. Now this one has a pattern, but you don't really need to worry about the pattern. You can put them in different spots. How I've normally done this in the past, before I got fancy thinking about what would a cookie scoop do, is you just take 2 spoons and you drop it down. I think it looks a little prettier. What do you think, you guys?
I like the scoop. Both of them look pretty good. The scoop looks a little easier.
Yeah, it's a little,
and
okay,
they
I'll
both
go back
look pretty
to,
similar.
I just wanted to show 2 ways. We don't want to ever make someone feel like if they don't have a certain piece of equipment that they can't do it. Learn to improvise and use what you have. Use the ingredients you have. If you happen to have a bag of white chips, then use the chips. I keep getting the discs because they're so easy to get at Sam's Club. Now I'm going to start putting them together a little closer together because I want to get the whole batch on this one sheet. And again, it doesn't have to be a certain way, but as you practice, you'll realize there's a feel for it and you can get more control over these. Making sure that you have a healthy blob of chocolate. And if you've missed on one, you can get a little chocolate out of the bowl and put it on top. There are lots of ways you could embellish these. It would probably be pretty if you drizzle melted chocolate. Either dark chocolate or milk chocolate would be just a delicious little drizzle. Oops. So, as I said, we're not going to over fuss with this, so I'll just make a good one right where that landed. And I'll go ahead and make this one a bigger one. You can control the size, bigger or smaller. Smaller is actually going to look prettier. Now, the total time that it took to melt this chocolate was 10 minutes. You didn't see it all on camera, but we timed it. And so 10 minutes for that, 8 minutes to toast, 8 minutes to toast the pecans.